So today I want to do a taping for somebody who's had an AC or acromioclavicular joint sprain. You'll notice on the patient, if you follow the clavicle out to its lateral border, you'll notice it also meets up here with the acromion process. So typically what you would see is that the clavicle is raised up a little bit and that the shoulder kind of droops just a little bit. All right, so what we want to do is be able to push this bone down and lift the acromion up and reapproximate that joint better. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is place his arm into a 90-degree bend, and I'm going to have him flex a little bit so that this way when I put the tape on his arm, right, it's not going to squeeze his arm. Okay. Now he may or may not be able to lift his arm when we do this, but again, I'm just looking to lay this tape down nice and easy. Can you lift up your arm a little bit? There you go. Just nice and easy. Okay. This is going to be one of our anchors. Okay. Then I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to run this piece from posterior to anterior. And when I go anterior, I want to make sure that I am over the lateral aspect of the clavicle, but not over the acromion. So I want to be able to push that clavicle down. Okay, so turn a little bit. So I'm just going to run this tape from posterior, finding his clavicle, turn. Right, so here's his AC joint, so I want to come just medial to that AC joint and just lay the tape down. Okay, from there, I'm going to take my Leuco tape. Again, I'm going to do a little bit of measuring. He's going to flex his arm for me. Right. Gives me a good approximation of how much I'm going to use. Okay, same position. And again, I'm just going to lay this down. Not much tension on it. I am just looking to make an anchor more than anything else. I'll do the same thing over the top. Now when I lay this piece of tape down, I am actually going to take the clavicle and I'm actually going to depress it. Okay, so I'm going to take the tape, I'm going to lay it down, and as I pull it forward, I'm actually going to take that clavicle and I'm going to pull it down. You can see how I'm pulling it down, pushing it down, and again you can see the furrows that are placed. And the excess, I'm going to cut off. Okay, so now I have my anchors. I've started to depress the clavicle. I've got an anchor here, and again I'm going to use this. Now for somebody who's in a more acute phase of this, they've just done it, I'm actually going to run two pieces. I'm going to run one a little posterior and one a little more anterior. Okay, so again these are going to be my anchors. Okay, so I'm going to run this little posterior up to here, and then I'll run one anterior So again, I'm just going to lay this down more anteriorly. Now, when I lay down this leukotape, this is when it's going to really, you'll see what happens. So now, as I lay this down, I'm actually going to lift up his arm. So he's going to go into that bend, and I'm actually going to, as I'm lifting the tape, I'm actually going to be pushing up, right, trying to approximate that AC, that acromion, to the clavicle. And I'll do the same thing, turn, and I'm going to do the same thing posteriorly. Again, I'm going to come from this position, and I am going to lift that arm, support it, lift it up right along the tape line. Okay. Now, if I have somebody who's not quite as acute, maybe they're a couple of weeks into this, I might only run one piece right along the lateral border. Again, pulling up, pushing down, the same thing, but instead of two pieces, just using one. And if somebody's really towards the end of this, you might even just go with something very short, right laterally here, okay? Not even worry about anchoring it here. Just putting a piece here, pulling this down, and then across here, pulling it up. But the only thing that I'm going to do now is I want to make sure that this tape, that these anchors don't come undone, right? Somebody's getting dressed or they're moving around or something. So all I'm going to do is take my tape, nice and easy, no tension at all, and I am just going to lay it down over the anchors there. And one more. Again, just laying it down, nice and easy, no tension at all. Okay, so that those edges are covered by the tape. They won't get caught on any clothing or anything. Okay, and this is how we would do a taping for an acromioclavicular sprain. Grade 1 or grade 2. Again, you'll notice it because the distal aspect of the clavicle is raised and the acromion is depressed.